Hello. Hi. I hope that I am live. Yeah, I hope I'm live. I hope that everyone can hear me and see me. Let me reduce the sound of the fan. Um, Everyone can hear me and see. I am really, really excited to be here. Yes. Let me go check in on my um, let me go check in on my LinkedIn live. Like my LinkedIn side of the screen, basically. Sometimes you just need to check, you know. And last time, but everyone, good evening. Welcome, welcome. I hope everyone is doing well and having a fantastic day. I hope you've had a great week so far. Tomorrow is Friday, so this week is basically done. Welcome, welcome. Let me just double check and make sure. Um, yeah, it's important to do that quick check because last time I had, because this is a reschedule session. So last time I had issues with connecting the platform that I use to go live with this. So let's see, let's see. Let's see, let's see. Hmm. That I should have like I'm hoping to have. I've been thinking about having like maybe a WhatsApp group for my LinkedIn lives because I think it could be great to have like a consistent place to share this information as well. Um, and to communicate as well while we are doing the lives. Just because I feel like sometimes, yeah, I'm live. Oh, thank goodness. I am live. Oh, that makes me very happy. I am very excited. Okay, great. Well, that scene is how I am officially live. I'm just gonna give us like maybe 2 more minutes before I officially start, just to give people a bit of time to get into the room and for LinkedIn to notify everyone because that is thing that LinkedIn does. So I'm just gonna give people a couple more minutes and then I will start. But thank you so much for joining. I hope everyone's doing well. Feel free to like let me know like where you're joining from. It would be really good to know like where in the world everyone is um, for these LinkedIn lives, so that maybe I could even like tailor some of my some of my sessions and my examples, especially uh, towards the locations that you're from. So excited, so excited. Yeah. So yeah. But how's everyone's day? How was it? All right. So I will be starting in like a minute. Just giving people some time to like join in. But I'll be starting like a minute, and then we can just get straight into this after the signing episode. But yeah, just giving people 1 more minute. I said just a little bit. Hmm. All right. Okay, I think I can see that LinkedIn has officially informed people and everything. So yeah, it takes a little bit, but yeah, I think that we can start. But good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. My name is Frances. Oh, I see Joy. Oh, welcome, welcome, dear. I am glad that you're here joining from Nigeria. So glad to have you here. Thank you for joining. I see that there are like at least two, maybe other people who are here. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. But thank you so much for joining. My name is Frances Uhomwe. I also often go by Tessie. I am with services and digital trade, but I have experience in various sectors, including goods. Trading goods. So today, yeah, welcome to another episode of After the Signing Live, which is my LinkedIn Live series that handles and talks about what happens after the signing of a new policy, the signing of a new, the of a new policy, the signing of a new trade agreement after all the documentation has been signed and it's officially, I'm talking about what happens implementation phase and to actually help businesses benefit from what we negotiate, what is being supposedly, what policy is being done. So yeah, so that is what After the Signing is about. And so yeah, many businesses, as you probably know, many businesses are already trading internationally. They sell to customers abroad, they receive digital payments, maybe through Flutterwave or InterSwitch. They ship products across borders, but when export support or guidance, they're usually told that they're not exporters or maybe they're not even ready yet. And so that gap actually has real consequences. It means that it affects it affects who gets support, it affects who's captured in data, it affects who the trade policy is actually built for. Because as a negotiator, I know that sometimes you build trade policy, you negotiate trade policy, and it is often intended to help MSMEs. But does that actually mean that it really helps SMEs? So that's what I want to try and unpack today. I want to unpack why this keeps happening and why that matters now. So let's start with a story, right? Like a probably familiar story for anyone, especially anyone who is in the business of selling natural products or in the business of selling beauty products made from Nigerian or African natural goods. Imagine you're a small natural beauty business. You may source shea butter, oils like coconut oil, or even plants locally, and then you make your products and then you sell them online. But most of these sales probably don't happen through a formal website, especially if you're relatively new to selling products. Maybe they happen through Instagram, WhatsApp, maybe even through TikTok. Customers may message you directly on WhatsApp. Your orders are confirmed in chats. Payments come in digitally. Maybe you have customers even in 2 or 3 different countries. The demand is already real. You feel it, you know that there is demand for your product, and your products are even being shipped across already. Money is changing hands, but when you look for business support, when you look for export support, maybe from the government, maybe from agencies that are supposed to, maybe from a bank, maybe you're often told that you are not yet ready. Maybe you're told that you need certifications, you need registrations, you need certain classifications that don't actually fit how you operate from day to day. And that means that you don't fit neatly into being seen as an exporter by the system. So if you're not being seen as an exporter by the system, what does that mean for you? How do you get access to these support systems? And so now that basically means that you're already trading internationally, but to the system, you're not classified yet as an exporter. So so now how do you overcome that? Does that mean, like, where do you even start? Because I know for a lot of small businesses, this starts to build up. They just, at this point, they just bash. They give up on all, like technical assistant programs. Maybe they, like, if it seems too difficult, or it seems to require too much from them, they just give up and they just continue doing what they were doing already. But if you don't want to do that, you want to actually be classified as an exporter, or if you just want to know what's going wrong, um, basically this is what happens. This keeps happening because trade systems often treat exporting as a status. You're either an exporter or you're not an exporter. There's no in between. But MSMEs don't actually experience trade like that. They experience it as various stages over time. And so when those systems don't capture all of these stages, businesses get pushed to the side, and they are sometimes even, they rush into doing things at the wrong time. Maybe you end up being like, oh, okay, I really want to get this like business support. Let me go and get all of these certifications, all of these like, like all of these tools, all of these. So come up with is the recognition readiness stage model, which is basically this framework that helps you identify, as a business, it helps you identify what you're doing economically and how that differentiates from how systems recognize you and how they support you as an institution. So basically, we're just going to walk through these stages, the different stages of exporting of being on your export journey, and what you should do at each stage and what you shouldn't do, and then what kind of support is probably going to be available to you at that stage. So the first stage, maybe you're making international sales via social platforms. Maybe you have like, maybe you live in Nigeria, but you're exporting to Ghana, or you're exporting to Senegal. You have maybe a few like friends or family members that travel to the UK with your stuff. So you have, like, you're able to make international sales via social platforms. You do digital payments, and maybe you also do cross-border shipping. What you should do at this stage is that you should clarify your business. Okay, how exactly do I make money from my goods, and how exactly does my business work? Thing that you need to know, because this is the information that will help you when you approach certain institutions for help and for export support. Then you also need to, at this stage, keep basic sales and payments records. You need to like keep track of every sale that you're making and every payment that you're receiving, because this makes you seem like not just someone who's operating out of your parents' living room, or out of your or out of your car, but like it makes you seem like at least someone who's building an infrastructure, not just someone who's selling on the side. So you need to keep track of your basic sales and your payment records. And then you also need to understand what requirements will exist for you later. You need to start doing that general research. So at that stage, at this basic stage of when you're an unrecognized exporter, you don't need to, these are some of the things you don't need to do yet. You don't need to do full export registration yet. It's just not necessary. You're still testing your business model. You're still testing the market for your product. You don't have to do that yet. You need to know first whether your product has a market. Then the other thing you don't need to do at this stage, you don't need to look for costly certifications. Certifications are good to have, but like at the very first, like for your very first shipments, at the very beginning of the stage, you don't need to like invest into some of these certifications. Truth is, some of them take quite a bit of time and proof. So you don't really need to seek all of these certifications yet at the beginning. Then export loans. You don't need to start looking for export loans yet. It's too early for you to seek export loans because you have capital. You don't have proof, you don't have a defined business model yet, you're still very early stage. So the kind of support you can look for at this stage is entrepreneurship and digital skills programs. These incubator type programs. You can look for these kind of agencies or organizations that will provide you with the skills that you need to keep track of your business finances, and will help you to start formalizing your business so that you can have like your own name for your business. You can own that. So those basic things. Then you can also get some inclusive support. So for example, like money, I think Trader Money was the name of a particular program. So there's some of these small early stage business support programs that you can get that don't require a lot from you, but that will just kind of like give you a grant, and like a one like investment of money that you can use to start. So that's the kind of like support you can expect at this stage. But this is not the time for you to be looking for a lot of export loans or certifications, since you haven't got at this stage. You have repeat international customers, and you already have early signs of scaling. You see that there's a demand for your product. People want to, maybe some large businesses have shown interest in like stocking your product. Maybe you've seen that there's some restaurants abroad that want to support you, or that want to like sell your product, or just want to get more of what you're selling. So at that stage, at this stage now, you can prioritize your target. You can map requirements by market, specific certifications that are required, its own specific licenses that are required. You don't want to divide your energy into like trying to like formalize yourself into many markets at once. So start with a few target markets, then you map your requirements by market. You identify, okay, I'm exporting to the US, this is what the EU requires from me, what the AFCFTA requires from me to export to this party that you map first. Then you look for advisory and capacity building support. So this is the time when you start going out and looking for this kind of system compliance, system building support, or even like export advice from companies, from agencies, like maybe even like local ministries and like agencies, departments that are devoted to export promotion. You start looking for their advice and capacity building your compliance. Then you look for that kind of support at this stage. And what you don't need to do yet, you don't need to have blanket certifications for every market. Again, start off with one or two markets, and then you expand from there. Then you also don't need to have heavy compliance across various jurisdictions. So you don't need to have too much, like you start off with a few products, you start off with a few markets, and then you expand from there, because every market will require more from you. And so the relevant support you can look for at this stage is export readiness. You probably have an export promotion council or agency in your country. Look for their support at this stage. MSME accelerators or incubator programs. this is the perfect stage, because now you have you've been tracking your business payments and your export payments. You have all of this tracked. You have that kind of information tracked. You're already getting certifications now. Just the basic accelerators or incubators will require from you. So that's drills. There's a trade portal and a single window built in Nigeria. So that's the kind of like trade portal you can look for. There's also the African Gateway that is being built by a Fraxim bank. That's also a trade portal that will give you information and more data that you can use for exporting and finding potential buyers in other countries. So that's the kind of information and support you can look for at this stage that help you scale. Systems that are able to trade confidently and consistently without being scared that you're going to get stopped at XYZ border. So that's what you're building at this stage. Then at stage 3, you're a recognized exporter. At this stage, you're already intentionally exporting to several specific markets. And what you can do at this stage, you need to focus on market-specific certifications. You need to work on your standards, your labeling, your documentation, and you can also look for exports and trade finance. You know what you don't need to do at this stage. You don't need to invest in compliance beyond your active markets. You don't need to expand too much. You just need to make sure that you are fully compliant with what is required from every market that you're exporting to at this stage. And so the kind of support you can get at this stage, you can get market entry programs, you can get supplier or distributor matchmaking, again, help with buyer to buyer market, import to export. That will help you to be able to find that kind of information on a tool like that. I think there's also other paid for tools like the Dollar Business that would help you to do that as well. But basically look for trade data platforms and portals that will give you that kind of matchmaking, supplier and distributor matchmaking access. Then you can also look for export credit at this stage. And then we're now on to the last stage, which is team compliance. You have your compliance system is fully set up, so you don't have to worry about you have all of the checklists that people who work with you or for you, they already have to go through. You already have systems in place, you have structures in place, you have all of your licenses, all of your certifications, you're able to scale. You're an advanced exporter, even though policy can assume that they are. And this is often, unfortunately, SME, this is the kind of, this is what they're holding you up against. And so you can see how this doesn't really allow you to benefit as much directly if you're not aware of the different stages that can exist and what kind of support exists for you at each stage. So the relevant support, if you're at this stage 4, you can look for scale-up financing, trade facilitation tools. You can look for partnerships and use and feedback, and even private sector lobbying programs, be capacity. So like I said, most SMEs are not at this stage yet. So why this is important? Why is this model important? Basically, this model helps SMEs realize, okay, this is where I am right now. this is what I can do and what I need to do at this stage. This is the this is the kind of documentation that can wait sought after yet, because I can still work as I am at this stage and to allow me to get the kind of support that I want. So that clarity alone means that you don't have to spend like unreasonable amounts of money chasing, certifications, licenses, tools, systems that you're just not ready for yet. And it also helps you to define for yourself, okay, why am I struggling? Why am I feeling? Why am I not being as an exporter yet? Being asked of you when you go to certain tools or certain platforms. So why does this matter for policymakers? It means that if businesses are already selling abroad, they're already selling cross borders, and they're not being captured, they're not showing up in data, they're missing support. It means that our policies as a policymaker are not reaching the people that we hope them to reach. So it's important to really like look into how the different stages SMEs can be in order to ensure that they are getting the support that they need age. So yeah, so thank you. This has been helpful. I hope that this has been informative. You can really see what kind of tools, what kind of documentation you need at each stage that you are in your export journey, and what kind of support is available to you. Hopefully, once you're able to like see the kind of support is available to you at each stage, you're able to look for that support, receive it, so that you can continue to advance in your export journey and not be frustrated spending time on seeking things that are not for you as you move forward. Um, So many businesses are systems because they assume a later or larger scale, a later stage, and a different export profile. But until we start treating exporting as a sequence and not a status, this gap will continue to repeat itself. So this is basically what After the Signing is about. It's not about what trade rules exist on paper, but it's about how exactly can translate into lived experiences, especially SMEs, especially MSMEs, especially businesses from it. And hopefully, when they are able to understand it and use it to their best abilities, these policies can actually lead to the economic growth and development that we're seeking for. So, yeah. If you have any questions, that has been my presentation. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If anything wasn't particularly clear, I'm more than. But yeah, this was after the signing episode. Like the live will be recorded. Of course, it is recorded, so you'll be able to view it later. But I'm also going to have a newsletter that I'm starting that will have these stages and even more practical examples of the kind of support that you can receive at each stage in your export journey. So I am hoping to share that. So if you're willing and able, please just like leave a comment or shoot me a DM newsletter once it's ready. And yeah, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good rest of your evening. I hope it still showed. So yes. The last one was able to do well, but like since then I've not been able to do like the lives. I don't think I'm really able to do efficiency like that mental access. I have to do like this one. Yeah. Oops. It's gonna have to be different. Mm,